my name is Szabo, and I'm the Director of Youth Outreach for the National Mental Health Awareness Campaign. Our organization was started in 1999, and it was started mainly to combat the stereotypes associated with mental health issues, but most importantly, I think, to really go out and let all young people know that you could talk about whatever it is you're going through. So as you heard, a large part of my job is to travel around the country and speak. I speak to about 100,000 young people each year. And as I travel and speak, I always think of motivational speakers. Except when I think of motivational speakers, I don't think of like Tony Robbins. I think of like Chris Farley and his Van Down by the River skit. You guys know what I'm talking about? All right, well, I'm not going to stand up here tonight and say things like, hey kids, my name's Matt Foley and I'm a motivational speaker. I'm 35, divorced thrice, and I live in a van down by the river. I'm not gonna say anything like that tonight. Differences in the things we like, differences in the things we care about. To show we have differences, I'm just gonna ask you guys some quick questions, all right? So how many of you like to listen to music? All right. How many of you like to go shopping? Cool. Anybody like to play PlayStation, Xbox, GameCube? Anybody think they could take me in Madden out there? The new one's coming out. Better practice. How many of you like to go to school? Oh, that's good. How many of you, I'll mix it up a little bit now. How many of you are organizers? So like you get a packet of M&Ms, Skittles, you dump the packet out, you separate them into colors, and you eat them color by color. All right. How many of you eat gummy bears by biting the heads off the gummy bears and switching them on different bodies? All right. How many of you, you sit at home and a video comes on TV and you think you can dance like that video? So you clear space in your living room, you're popping it in front of the TV, you're like, I could be a backup dancer for Sean Paul. Why hasn't he called me? Sean, I'm waiting. What's up? How many of you actually though, like how many of you will watch the reflection of the TV to see if you're really popping it? You're like, I can't. All right, I'll be honest with you, I travel a lot. There have been times where I've been alone in a hotel room in front of a mirror and I've been like, oh yeah, these hips don't lie. These hips don't even joke around. My hips aren't even sarcastic, let alone lie. What's up with that? No, now when I was 16, all these symptoms started hitting me. And it started off with me, like I said, not sleeping for 4 days in a row. Not sleeping for more than an hour a night for 2 weeks at a time. But I was active. I'd go to school, hang out with people. Then my moods would change. I'd get really angry, really violent. I'd punch things, kick things, flip out on my friends, flip out on my parents. Then my moods would change again. I wouldn't want to get out of bed. I wouldn't want to do anything. And because my mind was going through so much, I wanted to shut it down. Well, the quickest way for me to shut my mind down was to drink. But I didn't drink to hang out with people. At 16, I was drinking to shut my mind down. So I drank a case of beer and passed out. I drank a bottle of vodka and passed out. I drank a bottle of rum and passed out. When I was in high school, we had presentations like this. Somebody would come in and they'd say, hey everybody, don't drink alcohol, it's bad for you. All right, never a day I woke up hungover or puking and thought alcohol was good for me. I knew alcohol was bad for me. But no one ever came into my high school and said, don't drink alcohol because you hate yourself. Don't drink alcohol because you don't know how to deal with what you're going through. Don't drink alcohol as a form of communication. At age 17, my diagnosis changed to bipolar disorder with anger control problems and psychotic features. I had severe anger, used to break my knuckles and toes regularly, punching and kicking walls, had severe hallucinations. And all this led into my senior year of high school where I entered into a deep state of depression. Now when I talk to you about depression, I want you to understand the difference between feeling depressed and having depression. Because people come up to me all the time and they're like, hey man, I had a bad day, I have depression. Okay, or you had a bad day. So let me give you the difference. Let me explain the difference. When you feel depressed, you feel upset, you feel sad, these are things that have an identifiable cause. So let's say you do go through death, divorce, breakup, whatever it is, you can become upset. Now sometimes those things are so severe, you still need to talk about it. On January 5th of my senior year, I was hospitalized for wanting to take my own life. But nothing happened that day. I went to school just like I always did. Had a basketball game that night. We won the game. I went to a restaurant with my friends to celebrate, just like we always did. And on the way home from that restaurant, I decided I no longer wanted to live. Now, what's really scary about that is a large majority of people who make an attempt on their own lives or take their own lives don't want to die. I did not want to die. I just couldn't handle living the way I was living anymore. Taking my own life was a way out of that. So when I came home from that restaurant, I walked upstairs in my bathroom with only one thought on my mind. And before anything too major happened, my dad walked by. Now, I should step back here for a second. He asked me what I was doing, and I didn't know what to say. I froze up. I started shaking. He said, why don't you come downstairs and talk to me? I followed my dad downstairs in the kitchen. I said, Dad, if you don't take me to the hospital right now, I'm going to kill myself. And I was lucky, because my parents believed me. A couple days after that, we group therapy. It was time for everyone to stand up and talk about why they were there. Stories before mine were filled with a lot of different things: mental disorders, suicide, sexual abuse. It was my turn to talk about why I was there. Well, I didn't know what to say. So they said, why don't you tell us about yourself? I said, all right, my name's Ross. I'm president of my class. I played varsity basketball for 2 years. I'm a member of SAD, a member of Peer Helper. I volunteered 5 years to the Special Olympics. I attended the National Young Leaders Conference. I have a 3.6 GPA, and I stopped. And I felt really stupid, because the life I was describing was my external life. The life I was describing was my college resume. The life I was describing was the life everyone else saw, everyone else judged. But it was not the life that I lived. I didn't stand up and say, hi, my name's Ross, and I hate myself. I hate myself so much I'm willing to binge drink. I'm willing to drink and drive. I'm willing to destroy myself. I don't think anyone should care about me. Most of the people important in my life have left anyway. I didn't say any of that. If you came to this conference because you are a young leader, the catch-22 with most young leaders is that they do have an external life and an internal life that doesn't match up. And if your external life and your internal life don't match up, you do not need a mental disorder. You're always going to be at conflict with yourself. And eventually that conflict's going to come out. Now, I went on to get out of the hospital. I went back to high school. When I went back to high school, all of a sudden everything was different. See, before I went to this hospital, I was a cool guy. I was a guy everyone partied with, everyone liked, everyone knew. When I got out of the hospital, all of a sudden I was a loony, quack, psycho, crazy kid. I was a kid people made fun of. I was a kid who lost friends. I was a kid with all the rumors about him, not allowed at other people's houses. 2 months after I got out of the hospital, a psychologist came into my classroom to talk about patients he was treating. As that psychologist talked about patients he was treating, every single student in that classroom started laughing. But I wasn't laughing. I was angry. I grabbed my teacher, I took him out in the hallway, I said, this isn't funny. This isn't something people should laugh about. He said, what do you want to do about it? I said, let me speak. Let me tell people what it's like to go through these things. He said I could speak. So 2 weeks later, I stood up in that same classroom. I spoke for the very first time. And it was easily the worst experience of my entire life. I was shaking, sweating, holding onto a podium. When I finished my presentation, nobody laughed. More importantly, people came up to me. It's happened to my mom, my aunt, my uncle, my cousin, my brother. Everybody knows somebody going through something. Now, I went on to graduate from high school. And I wanted to go to college. I wanted to major in political science. I applied to every school in Washington, D.C. I got into every school in Washington, D.C. I chose to go to American University because they gave me the most financial aid. I'll be honest, they gave me money. I'm going to go to your school. So I go to American University. I'm like, this is awesome. This is where I start over. Nobody knows me. This is great. I never lived next to girls. I was like, this is so cool, right? 2 weeks into my freshman year, I'm like, I should change some things, you know? So I'm sitting down with a group of guys. We only known each other for 2 weeks. We're at lunch. And I turned to them and I said, yeah, so I have bipolar disorder with anger control problems and psychotic features. And I was just hospitalized for wanting to take my own life 8 months ago. And awkward. So like, one guy looked at me and was like, so do you need a shot or a beer? And another guy looked at me and was like, you need to hook up with somebody. It was guy talk. We were having an emotional conversation about feelings and... Anyway, a lot of people in this situation, you always hear people say this. People always say, no one knew what to do for me. That was partly it. But let's be honest, I didn't know what I needed to do for myself. And because I did not know what I needed to do for myself, I couldn't sit down with people I just met and tell them what I needed to do to get better. Because I went away to college with absolutely no plan, no idea of what could happen to me, I was lost. And when I didn't know what to do, I turned to alcohol, because I knew what I was getting with alcohol. 3 weeks into my freshman year, I had my stomach pumped from alcohol poisoning. 2 months into my freshman year, I had to take a leave of absence. I had a major relapse with bipolar disorder. But I am not alone. The next time you're going through something major, you're going through something severe, I hope you will have the strength to find a healthy way to deal with it. Because that's what it's going to take. It's going to take strength. People will doubt you. People will mock you. People will make fun of you. It is going to take strength. And I'm not asking you to change the world. Hold hands and sing Kumbaya. I am asking you to change this. for the sake of your own lives, for your friends and your families. And maybe you're sitting out there and you're thinking about a friend or family member. The next time they're going through something major, I hope you have the strength to help them find what works best for them. Because the reality is there are millions of people out there suffering, millions of people feeling lonely. And it is time to let them know that they're not alone. And it is time for all of us young people, to stop losing to the old ways of dealing with these issues, to stop losing the lives of our friends, our family members, the people we care most about, to these needless stereotypes, to stop losing, period, and to start winning the campaign of many for a sound mind. Thank you.